We are live. We are live, internet entrepreneurs. We are live finally. The time came again. Hey guys, this is Nikhil Sai. Welcome back to another show of Internet Entrepreneurs Freedom, which is hosted by me, the Nikhil Sai. Excited for today's another interview with another Chukama Club winner. Guess who is on the show today? This guy is one of the craziest guy in the internet. He's like a scientist of Facebook ads. I mean, he's the ad scientist. I can definitely state that. So let's not waste any time and call this Chukama Club award winner into the interview. Let's welcome Dusty Ledbetter. Hi,
How's it
brother.
going, man?
It's going great. Super excited to have you on. How's everything going from your end?
Oh man, it's another day. It's winter out here, so it's a little cooler than normal, but it's a great day. Great start to a year, so we're excited. Good things coming.
Super excited. So everyone is watching live. So we'll be providing a lot of value, guys. So just stick to the video. And thanks for everyone who is joining the live right now. Please make sure to comment hashtag live if you're watching this live and hashtag replay if you're watching this replay. If you have any questions, Dusty is with us for 45 minutes from now. Make sure to comment down any questions you'll be having, and Dusty will definitely answer that. So Dusty, let's not waste any time. Let's get into the quick story. Like, how did it all started? Like, crazy journey from somewhere to seven-figure level. How did it all start?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think it starts just about like anybody's story starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had an idea, man, and I wanted to make something of myself. I was young and kind
Mm-hmm.
of ready to go, and so I did what everybody did. I mean, I went to college. I got a degree. I bought books. I took classes. I was really trying to figure things out. And kind of in the middle of all that, I got married and had a couple of kids. And so then the whole hustle thing got real. So really had to get after it and try to break down and trying to build the business. Self-made entrepreneur, self-made millionaire. You hear that stuff all the time.
Uh-huh.
And
Yep.
so yeah, I was pursuing it. And I think as I started to get into it, it's easy for being new as an entrepreneur. You get in this vicious cycle of like all these new things and stuff to try to build your business, and followed by disappointment with things not working, and it's just this endless loop, right? And so I fell in that, and unfortunately, in the middle of all that, that all that hustle, it isolated myself, from my family, from people
Mm-hmm.
around me, and things like that, and it just, I mean, ended up hitting rock bottom. And I remember one day coming home, my family was gone. It was just a mess, man. And I think at that moment in my life, I ended up having to get a job I was miserable at, because things weren't working for my business, and really just a low point. And I remember one night just laying on the floor, kind of looking up and being like, man, like, I mean, am I a failure? Like, what's going on? And I think in that
That's a
moment,
different state.
yeah, it was crazy because in that moment, I realized I kind of had a choice at that point. Like, I could sit here and have pity on myself and live in that failure, or I could kind of get up and do something and try to figure it out. Except, really, I had looking back, trying to do it myself, it didn't
Mm-hmm.
work. Like, this whole self-made entrepreneur millionaire thing was kind of like my kryptonite. Like, and so I made kind of a plan going forward, was like, look, I'm just going to try to do this. And when I hit a wall and I have a problem and I can't figure something out, I need,
Mm-hmm.
all these people out here doing it and having success. So instead of trying to figure out on my own, I just need to look for help. And so that's what I did, and I started, getting into like coaching groups and masterminds, and just trying to find the people who knew the things that I was trying to understand. And I think just over the years, all those nuggets started piling up, the little nuggets of knowledge and experience. And, that turned into a system that, I could reliably use, not just for myself, but for my clients. And so the rest is history, man. I think at this point, it took realizing that, when you have a problem in your business, it's okay. When I was having problems, it's okay. You just got to admit to yourself that you don't know, and find somebody else who maybe does, and leverage their skill and their experience, and that's what's, led me to the Two Comma Club Award, to the, success with ads, and,
Absolutely.
and to this podcast.
Thank you. And that's a sweet story and long story start. It was amazing, having like being nowhere and being broke, and being in a situation where we are like freaking out of what to do, thinking about that we done well or not, and to a state where you are now leveraging someone else's skill, someone else's knowledge, and now being in a stage where you're helping someone else to hit seven-figure level, something insane. It's life changing and it's impactful for other persons as well, and which is the true purpose of being alive, right? That really makes sense.
Yeah.
Dusty, really appreciate that. So, like, let's get into the powerful stuff, which is your core expertise, Dusty, which is like, I don't think someone else can answer better than you, like the ad scientist itself. Like, what do you think are the best strategies, traffic sources to generate quality leads for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, well, right now, number one for me is, social media, ads,
Mm-hmm.
social media, as far as the just ability to reach people and be in front of them and put specific messages in front of specific people. Like, I believe this is a very, very powerful traffic source. Obviously I've built kind of my career on it. I stake what I know on it, so
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of powerful ways to drive traffic, but I figured with Facebook, and Instagram and some of the other social media platforms, this is the right now the best way I feel like to really to drive good quality customers, to your website, to your offers, to whatever it is, you got going on.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. So social media is the go-to platform when it comes to generating leads for yourself and your client. Sounds interesting. So, like, as you are the Facebook ad ninja, or you can say the expert, the ad scientist, actually. So, what do you think are the three ninja tips you follow to run Facebook ads,
Yeah. So,
especially?
you know, ironically, I think these are things that there's a lot of the technical aspects of like building a campaign and stuff for you can
Mm-hmm.
find just about anywhere out there. I think so. Some of the ninja things I think that set just successful campaigns in general, apart from most everybody else, is I'd say number one is you got to know your customer. You really have to understand your customer. That's it's not, like I said, it's not directly to the campaign, but this is why it's ninjas, because like if you understand your customer, you know how to talk to them, the pain that they're dealing with, the struggle that they're dealing with, how your products and your services are really going to help them. And when you
Mm-hmm.
really understand that, that shapes everything. That shapes the messaging in your ads. It shapes how you offer your product to them. So that would be, I would say, the very first highest priority on my list is to really understand the customer and how it is that your product and your service, serves them.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Second, I would say, uh, ninja tip. This does, I think, apply really to the ads. I use this tool called Internet Explorer
Mm-hmm.
or interestexplorer.io, I believe is what it's called, and it's just a little tool that connects to the back end of Facebook's API, and there's so
Mm-hmm.
many interests that are available to target that you just don't see when you're an ads manager. There's so many
Oh,
audiences, and so when you go in there and you start typing things in the ads manager to type your detailed targeting and your interest space, you get served a curated list, but there are hundreds of thousands of interests on the back end. Well, this tool essentially aggregates all of those things and it puts it in a way where you can search a keyword and it'll show you every
wow.
interest available to target. And so, I call it interest mining. So it's
And that's a golden nugget, actually. I need to
yeah,
note that down again.
yeah. And so,
So, yeah.
I think that's the next step in the process is like, you understand your customer, you understand your product, but a really good
Mm-hmm.
offer and really good messaging means absolutely nothing if it's not in front of the right people, and so that's where, I think, you would move into targeting with your ads, but there's, that was just a ninja way that I start and get a good group of things to test. And then obviously there's
Right
a lot of
people.
research that goes into that, but
Exactly.
that's kind of a ninja tip. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I think a third one, if I had to give a third one, um, I I think as far as the ads go, really the ninja tip I would say is number three would be um, giving giving Facebook kind of the room to make the decisions. So I mean, just over the years,
Mm-hmm.
Facebook has gotten more innovative with how it does it with the algorithm and how it shows its ads to its users and things like that. And so I think in that kind of um, situation, but it basically ends up being is that Facebook, the more power that you give it,
Mm-hmm.
usually the
The
better
better results you get.
yeah,
Yeah.
the better it ends up being for you. And so trying to structure your campaigns in a way that isn't limiting. For example, you know, a lot of people, you know, you want to niche down, and that's important to really find relevant, you know, say targeting with your ads and things like that. But I think sometimes people get a little too niche down, you know, and so you'll get so specific that what ends up
Like
happening,
2,000, 3,000 audience reach, right?
yeah, you get so specific, and that puts so many limitations on what Facebook can do that it ends up costing you more, you know, to advertise to those people. And so instead, you know, trying to find ways of targeting relevant audiences that are larger, give Facebook a little bit more power, a little bit more room, you know, and then just make sure again that your messaging and your targeting is on point, so that when those conversions start happening, you know, it's able to optimize to those specific people inside of a broader range and can actually work. So I think, you know, those three together would be kind of my ninja, you know, that those
Absolutely.
make for
Yeah.
a great campaign. Obviously there's a lot that goes into it, but you know, I would say those are kind of up.
Yeah, those are the three golden nuggets which you are go-to ninja tips to start your Facebook ads, right? That's absolutely amazing. So let's quickly get into the next question, Dusty. This is, I think, like a lot of people have this question, especially like, do you think starting a media buying agency is good? If yes, like how to do it? Because there are a lot of people who are still struggling in a place where they want to charge, but they want to get clients, but they don't know how to run Facebook ad, how to be profitable at it, or something like that. So, like, do you think it's a great idea to start a media buying agency?
Um, you know, ultimately, I think if that's what you want to do, then yes. I think the
Mhm.
more important question is, you know, underneath all of that is how, you know, there's kind of a two sides to that. When would it not be a good idea? I think it wouldn't be a good idea to start a media buying agency if you if you're you can't provide the results that the businesses are looking for, you know. And so I think a lot of people put the cart before the horse, so to speak, and they decide I want to make money, and so they want to start a media buying agency, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and that's all good and everything, but you do, you know, got to realize that the businesses, you know, the aspiration is always to find the businesses that are going to pay, you know, kind of the premium prices, you know, and those businesses will pay the premium price, no problem, if you can get them results, you know. And so I think a lot of people they always ask the question, how do I get those clients without having the results? And you know, I've been lucky enough every now and then to get you know, a client like early on that was a bigger client where, you know, I didn't quite have you know, I didn't have the $1 million funnels and those sort of things to be able to show, you know,
Mm-hmm.
showcase that I know what I'm doing. But I will say so that it is possible to really be passionate and be knowledgeable, but it's hard that way. And so what I would suggest is, you know, when is it a good idea to start a media buying agency? I would say once you've really started to hone your craft and you really understand what's going on with Facebook, and you know, you're very comfortable in it, you can get results, you know, demonstratably, like um, then I think at that point that's when it's a good idea to transition. And so a good, you know, a good rule of thumb, this is kind of how I did it, was, you know, I
Mm-hmm.
um, I took contract work. You know, so you have a lot of agencies out there who are looking for media buyers. You know, as they're scaling, they need a media buyer, you know, to do it. And so those are good. Those are good places to start, because you're gonna, you know, you're gonna get experience. And I know for me,
Exactly.
I could soak up as much knowledge as possible. I could understand the metrics. I could understand everything. But until I was able to spend, you know, $20,000 on an ad account and really see how it happened and see the difference between a good campaign and a bad campaign, and what I thought was a good campaign, you know, and a really successful campaign, um,
Exactly.
until I had that, you know, I didn't really understand it all. And so I think, you know, find those places where you can get plugged in and get the experience, and maybe for a while you're not going to be making the kind of money you want to make, but you're honing your craft and your skill. And then once you get those results, then you can break off, which is what a lot of people do, you know, and then you start finding the clients, because now you can demonstrate that you know what you're doing and you can get the results.
Absolutely. So yeah, like that's the core, the idea of being behind the scenes to learn that Facebook data, or being able to look at the data and decide if the angle is right, if the campaign is right, or if the Hello?
Hey, made it back.
Man, I'm really sorry. The power is off suddenly. I really apologize for that to happen. But yeah, let's not waste any time and get into the next quick question. And
Yeah,
you
for sure.
answered it really well. Yeah, and I really apologize for the lighting disturbance, but yeah, let's continue
Yeah,
anyway.
no, let's do it.
So, and just as you're into this industry from long time and being a Facebook ad expert, there are a lot of misconceptions about Facebook ads. With the recent privacy policy update as well, a lot of people are criticizing Facebook and saying that it's not worth trying or something like that. So, what do you think are the misconceptions on Facebook ads, and what do you think is the right solution to come along with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, there's about to be some significant changes, and I know over the years, I've probably been through, 100 of these significant changes, and
Facebook is crazy always. Yeah,
yeah, and,
it goes up and down all the way.
the number one thing I can say, is that you just need to understand what's going on. And I think the more that you understand the platform and you understand how ads work and the algorithm and really, you're knowledgeable about the actual advertising, and
Hmm.
how impressions work and the data and how that all functions. I think you start to understand that really in this situation, yeah, there's going to be things that change, but it's really about just paying attention to the data. I think that's what you know, I think the best thing you can do is understand what you're looking at. Really look at the metrics because that's going to drive everything. And again, data is key here. So there are.
Numbers speak themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like the number one reason I think people fail is because they launch a campaign and they just don't understand. It's like I said, it's easy to build the campaign and set it up and get it going. They just don't understand what's going on afterwards. So
Hmm.
um, you know uh, when changes like this come, if you understand how to read the information, like that you're seeing and how your ads are responding, then
Hmm.
it's easy to start making the changes that you need to make and adjustments along the way. And so you just kind of figure it out. But you know I do think there are obviously just there's a lot of talk around ads and everything, and that's great. And for some people, they like to get in and they dabble and it don't work for them, and so then they like to just say the whole system is.
Yeah, just blame. Yeah, just blame the whole system.
Yeah.
And someone
And
says they love the information, Dusty. So you're doing super well, and I really appreciate the information
oh,
you're giving away.
yeah,
And
that's great.
yeah, like you just need to be on the right track so that you can understand the data. Like no matter what algorithm change happens, still the data is same, right? You get to know the CPC and all the technical,
Mhm.
functionality stuff like that, which really speaks like and helps you what to do in the next move, right? And
Yeah.
as you are already at the seven-figure level, like what do you think are your like what are your go-to strategies to acquire clients or help someone else to acquire clients? Like let's say as an agency.
Yeah. So I mean, the number one
Hmm.
way, and this has been true for years, is always about value. So finding a way to add value to your customers' life. Even if, and I think this is the hard part that people don't grasp, is even if they never spend a penny with you, like so in my case, like if you I started this new brand kind of breaking out from behind the curtain as a media buyer and things like that, and as the ad scientist, and
Hmm.
in my attempt to help people. And so the goal is that um, while I might do workshops that people buy on and jump on for training and things like that, like when I'm putting content out and when I'm talking to people, the goal isn't that they buy my product. Like in the end, yes, I would love that, obviously, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. But really my hope is that in the conversation that we have and in the content that I put out, even if they didn't click through, even if they didn't buy, that somehow I've
Hmm.
improved their quality of life or given them some idea or even inspiration to say, you know what, that was an interesting thought. Let me try this on my campaigns, and that to me is way more valuable than even the money that they spend, because it builds trust, and so now, for example, say if I, in this talk that we're doing, say somebody hears something that we're
Hmm.
talking about and then they go apply it and they get some results. Maybe they don't get the results that they're ultimately looking for, but it improves the quality of their campaigns or anything like that. Well, what do I know? I know that that person now believes that I know what I'm talking about because they took some of the stuff that I said and they put it into practice. And so what are they going to do when they want
Absolutely.
to learn more? They're going to come find me, you know? And so that I think is, that's my go-to strategy. It's always try to figure out, you know, how to add value. And so when you're talking about like businesses, you know, like say my clients,
Mm-hmm.
that gets a little
Mm-hmm.
trickier because obviously they are selling like a product or a service.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just have to find creative ways of trying to demonstrate that the exchange of value in the money that
The
they're
offer you have.
what they're getting, you know, is astronomical and awesome, and that you're changing their life for an insignificant amount of money that they're going to pay, you know. And so but that's going to be the number one way I think, you know, businesses are able to be successful, you know, going forward is value. You know, think about how you can improve the quality of life, even if the
Mm-hmm.
customer doesn't buy from you, you know. And once you think about it that way, you'll start to realize that more customers will actually buy from you, you know. And it's very interesting, you know, once you get down that rabbit hole.
Absolutely, and like this is one of the best answers which I've ever heard, especially for this quick question, because a lot of people be like, be super salesy, stuff like that, but that really turns off and piss off some clients in a different way. But when you genuinely provide value, they really have your name inside their head on a long term, and whenever they need that real thing in really quick, they're just gonna like you are going to be the go-to guy when it comes to the situation. That's how you build a brand, right?
Right.
So like this is like a long-term brand building strategy. That's really huge, Dusty. Thanks for that. And like Dusty, you are already at a different level where you are managing like huge revenues and managing big businesses, the lead generation. You have a team to work with. You have your own stuff to get done. I mean, as a seven-figure entrepreneur, you have a lot more stuff to get done, right? So like,
Yeah.
what are the tools and like how, what do you like? How do you manage your daily life and how do you manage your clients? Your like how do you manage your whole productivity thing?
Yeah. Number one thing, and I think this is something that we talk about, you know, with some of my partners and some of the team that I, you know, surround myself with, is communication is key, right? So you've got to be able to clearly communicate what it is that you need, with the projects you got going on, you know, transfer of files, of information, of ideas, like that's critical, you know. And so I think one of the tools that we use, you know, is Slack. It's something that we use as an internal team. It's something that we, you know, every client that we onboard or we work with goes into
Mhm.
Slack. You know, so there's a clear, easy way for us to drop information and have dialogue back and forth between our clients. You know, anybody on our team, you know, in our internal channels. So that's critical for communication. As far as like task management, you know, some of our, you know, of just our writers and our team members, and like even some of the VAs that we work with, we use Asana. Asana is a task management, you know, tool. So
Absolutely. Hmm.
it's similar to Trello or any of these others out there. We just like Asana because it's a little bit fancier, and it's more user friendly and things like that. But that allows us, you know, to create projects and create tasks and kind of see them in a dynamic way with calendars and due dates and things like that. And so that just kind of helps us stay on top of you know, of everything there. And those are kind of really the core tools that we use as far as getting projects done and really staying on top of our communication.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for explaining your personal tools which you use inside your day-to-day life. I'm just curious to know, like, how does your seven-figure routine looks like? Like, what is your daily routine for success looks like?
Yeah, this is one where I've always been. It's been, you know, there's a lot of controversy around this, right? Because most you see it out there, like, you know, this is the morning routine you have to be a millionaire and be successful and get your mind right, and it involves getting up at 4:30 in the morning and all this stuff.
Uh-huh.
And you know, and I'll be honest with you, man. Like um, for me, it's just about being focused. You know, when I get started, my most productive part of the day is, you know, early morning until you know, a couple hours after midday or lunch, you know. And so for me, you know, I don't I don't follow any kind of the typical stuff that you hear out there. I my alarm goes off. I probably snooze it a couple times. I wake up and I take a shower, and then after the shower, man, I spend probably the first 30 to 45 minutes of my day just really trying, just waking up, and that's when I look at emails, I look at any of the conversations that have come in over the night, and I literally I sit on my couch with my feet up, and I'm just scrolling through my phone, and it's just, for me, that's just time to kind of start getting my mind awake, getting open, seeing what, getting focused on what the to-do list is for the day, and then
Mm-hmm.
after about 30-45 minutes of that, I come over here to the desk, and um, I open up and I start chiseling away at the to-do list, and so for me, that's how I do it. I know a lot of people have, specific routines and things, and motivational things that they speak.
Keeping it simple is the key.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, I think the number one, routine is really just finding what's comfortable for you and how you motivate yourself. And I think that's probably something we can talk about here a little bit. I know you probably have some questions about that as well.
Absolutely. See, yeah, like when the mindset is right, everything goes in the straight direction, right? You don't need to have like a millionaire routine or, waking up at 4 a.m. with your meditation things done. Yeah, it's not really mandatory. Like there are some people who does that, but yeah, it's cool even when you have like a simpler routine with the go-to list and can get a lot more stuff done this way as well, right? So that really sounds interesting. And yeah, like just like as you are in your 20s, really struggle with being in a job or struggling with your business, like what will be your go-to suggestion, or like what will be a suggestion for someone who is just getting started, like speak to someone who's 20-year-olds like you.
Yeah, if it was me, I think the number one thing, and you hear people talk about this all the time, and it sounds cliche when somebody with a buttload of money is telling you these things, but
Uh-huh.
like really it's absolutely true. And I think so number one, it's, don't try to build your business or be successful doing something that you aren't passionate about or that you don't enjoy doing. Because to be, if we're 100% candid, building a business is not easy. It's difficult, and I mean, I know in my line of work, the hardest part is people, right? It's dealing with the client. It's dealing with what's going on. They're thinking they're spending a bunch of money, and, you have all these things. It's stressful. It really is, and not to mention you as an entrepreneur and a business owner who are basically, if you're doing that, you're 100% responsible for your own income, which is another level of stress that I think people don't realize. Is like, most people wake up and they go to a job and that check comes every week, uh, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, it does not come unless you bust your rear, and really do some hard work. And so I think if you're going to put yourself through that, and and you can understand that it's just a different level of stress, like this gray hair and stuff, shows up after that point, then you need to be doing something that you enjoy, like really enjoy doing, and that you're passionate about, and you can get excited about, because that's the thing that you go to whenever stuff gets
Hmm.
difficult and stressful, and so that's my number one suggestion is, find something that you're good at, find something that you love, and start to figure out how can you use that to improve the quality of people's life, like we were talking about before. And I think at that point, that's when things start to flow. And if you start focusing on that super early, instead of, most people come at it from the angle of money, like how do I just make the most money? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to make money out there, so might as well pick something that you enjoy doing and being good at, and get good at it. That's the other thing is, don't, triple down. I think Gary Vaynerchuk says this a lot, and basically what he says is stop focusing on things that you're bad at, and triple down on things that you're good at, and that plays that's really, it is super true. It seems, impossible, because we want to put the most attentions on the things that we're not good at, because we think that's how we improve. And really,
Exactly.
going back to my story, that's what caused me to fail. Instead of me saying, okay, here's what I'm really good at, here's what I really suck at, let me just admit that I suck at this and go find somebody who's good at that, and start surrounding myself with
That
people.
really happens. Like I agree. I definitely agree with that. Like especially people who are at that level of not making it six figures or less than that, they really struggle with this shiny object syndrome where they try to do 100 different things. Try to make more money, try to invest in multiple things. And they end up being nowhere. And as you just mentioned, passion is the number one key. Like as a business owner, especially as an agency, things can really go wrong, especially with your clients sometimes in a different situation, right? Like a deliverability is being delayed, something like that. Just if you be there, and if you don't really love what you're doing, it's going to be like super hard to deal with, and you really make that quit really quick, but that's not where you can be on a stage with a two comma club, right? You should be consistent of what you're doing so that you can be there one day. Right? So
Yeah, and and you think about your. I mean, some people have really good paying jobs, but they're miserable. Because it's not the money that makes you really happy. It's the fulfillment you
mhm.
get from doing the thing that you're doing. And so that's you're exactly right. That's the ticket, is to be able to be passionate about it, because that's what gets you through when things are just chaotic. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's ever been a day since I started down this road where I didn't wake up to some sort of fire. Somebody's upset about something, or campaigns aren't firing right,
That
or
really,
something happened,
yeah.
or the website's down, or something got blocked, or it's always something. Every single day, it's always something. And so you know if it's always something, and you're doing something that you don't enjoy, man, that's a miserable place to be. And so
Absolutely. You
might as well.
shouldn't be there. Yeah, you need to fix what you need to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. And that's a great suggestion. But like, I think a lot of entrepreneurs who are watching this now, they get to know what their passion is, and now they really dig back and see what they're doing wrong and what are the shiny objects they're looking at, and just stay focused on what they really should be doing, right? That's a great session to do. And but like, as you're already at this level, I believe you already have like good achievements to speak on. Like, what are your biggest achievements and what are your next goals like in your list to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest achievement so far, I think business wise, is you know breaking the $1 million mark in funnels. Like, when you consistently, now it's to the point where I think you never can launch, every single advertising campaign you launch, 100% of them aren't successful, even for people like me or anybody else. But you can be pretty successful, right? And so the right out the gate, I think the number one biggest achievement for me is being able to know that I can jump in and I can launch campaigns, and I can do lead generation, or we can launch an e-com brand and consistently get results. I think that was the biggest achievement for me, is I have the confidence to know that with a little time, even if the first launch of a campaign or a funnel doesn't happen, I have the knowledge and the experience that I can make
To
tweaks.
tweak it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's working with a little bit of time, and so that's a level of confidence I think is the biggest achievement for me, because early on, as a media buyer and as somebody trying to do this, that's the hardest part to swallow, is like you understand that all the stress from the client and on him comes directly at you when the results aren't there, so like, once you have that confidence and can, and I think, explain and show and demonstrate just that confidence to a client before they ever even sign up, it was a game changer for me. So I think that's my biggest achievement. And my next goal, I think, is to really just expand and fine tune the machine. So, we talked about building an agency, and I think on the
Hmm.
back end of all this stuff, it can be chaos if you're not in a position to where you can scale, and do it in a way, because as you scale, the workload gets bigger, and as the workload gets
Absolutely.
bigger, it demands more time, it demands more energy. And so I think the next big goal for me is to continue to just be more efficient with the process and be more efficient in the time. And as this personal kind of brand of mine grows, that puts me in a position to where I can be, um, a little bit out of the machine a little bit more, and give back with my time, and give back with the knowledge and the experience. That's kind of the next big goal for me, is okay, so now we've built this. How can it
Hmm.
function a little bit more and more and more without me? And how can I start to take that time that I'm saving from doing that, and start doing more things like this, and really giving back to the community, and just using what I know and what I've learned over the years to just help pull people up.
Absolutely. Like, that's really important when you're already at a big level in business, and if you're still being like a 24/7 person who's working on your business, like in your business, it's really hard. You just need to be holding back yourself and, with a bird's eye view, look at what's going wrong and what should be fixed. And then you can have much more time to do your stuff. And it's really great, and hope you'll achieve every single thing, and the value which you're giving out, just like build out your personal brand, man. We'll definitely love to get more value with your videos and with your cool stuff which you're doing. Absolutely. And along the way, Dusty, like, I genuinely believe as an agency, like everyone goes through it, like what was your biggest mistake in your business career and in your personal life?
Number one mistake is my personal number one mistake is thinking that I had to do it on my own, like it's up to me. And I think there is obviously a level of, of decision making and responsibility and doing the work, that is up to you. But what I mean is, I thought that building the business, like I had to just create it, I had to do it by myself. And if I just had to figure it out on my own in order to create, this thing, create income for myself and build a business, that I could be proud of and enjoy, and that, provide for my family and things like that. And I think that mistake, it cost me ultimately along the way way more than it ever built for me, and or gave to me, because I inside of that, that's, I was prideful and arrogant that, I'm some big shot and I'm figuring it out, and I'm going to be the reason why I make it. And ultimately at the end of the day, I had to be able to admit to myself that, I'm just starting out, and even now being successful, there's people who are worlds beyond me in their success, and it's just understanding that, in the middle of this process, there are going to be things that I just don't understand yet, and that's perfectly fine, and so instead of trying to grit my teeth and really pull up my bootstraps and try to figure it out on my own, because there are people out there who have been more successful than me, there are places that I can go and things that I can look to learn what it is that I don't understand, and I think if I would have known that from the very beginning or understood it, I think it's out there, but we have just this pride and ambition.
Yeah.
And
just think that we can figure out everything, right? We just have that withholding.
It feels good. Yeah, it feels good when you have the success. I know, like this particular client, when we did this funnel and launched the lead gen for them. At the time they're making $100,000 to $120,000 a month in sales, and I mean, we're averaging between $400,000 and $500,000 in sales a month now. They cleared 3.8 million in the first 12 months, and so like that feels good. It feels great, and so, when you're doing that, it's really easy to, to think that, oh yeah, I'm some big shot, but at the end of the day, I realized that what got me here was, I was able to, to really leverage the resources of other people and their knowledge and then and learn from that and build upon those things. And so I think if I would have known that back at the beginning and understood that, then I think I would have been here much sooner, and
bigger,
so
much bigger and much better. Absolutely. But like
10 of these, 10 of these on the wall.
Absolutely. Like especially a lot of youngsters or people who are just starting out in the business can really relate with this situation where they be like tight guy who's tiny and don't want to invest on anything, just want to try that how to make money, free videos on YouTube, and just waste like literally hours of time figuring out stuff on their own, when they can actually be coachable and leverage someone else's skills, someone else's life learnings, directly grab them here and just execute them, right? That's number one key. Absolutely. But that's really interesting, Dusty. And Dusty, like, who are your main inspirations for the success which you have achieved, and like any key persons involved in the process?
Really, my main motivation is I have two boys. I have two kids, man, and that to me is that's my biggest sense of motivation. I grew up. I didn't grow up with much of wealthy, or anything like that. From a home that my parents were separated. From before I can remember as a kid. And so I just remember growing up, and part of my motivation, Ben, was like, I want to change. I want to change the direction of my family's life. And and the struggling and the things like that, just financially and with everything, that was something I think I wanted to. I didn't want to be that way for my kids, and so the number one motivation I think for me is my children, that they see, they see what hard work looks like. They see, that anything is possible, and that really drives me to just be more successful, because I know that along my way in my success, they get to learn from it, and they're learning at much, much earlier age than I am, and so that motivates me to kind of continue, and then just obviously my own personal faith, and knowing that at the end of the day, all this means nothing if I'm not giving back, if I'm not helping people, I'm not doing this. It is nice. It is nice the things that come with, having a business and doing these things, and the money, and some of the comfortable things. But I think at the end of the day, I enjoy doing this because of that feeling you get when I know that can't, like the campaigns that we launch for these clients, like their lives are changing, and there's things that are happening. Yeah, it's the impact from that is what I feel the greatest about, is that, it's not just about dollars coming in. It's about what that means. What does that mean for, my customers and my clients, and for me, it means, it's impactful change, life-changing things, and it's the realization that, that thing that I've been dreaming about my kids not experiencing that is coming alive, and so my faith plays a big part in motivating me to continue to do that, and to continue to help people.
Absolutely, and that's a great reason to have a motivation, like being in that situation in your younger age, and now making sure that no one else can go through that situation, that's in the situation, especially in your family. That's a great motto to have. And someone says that this is the best interview of this year. Loving it, Dusty.
Yeah.
Absolutely loving it. And yeah, guys, I think like there are a lot of people on live. If you have any questions regarding Facebook ads, retargeting, any technical stuff, anything, you can just put that on comments, and Dusty would love to answer us. And just like a lot of people are watching already, Dusty, like where can our audience find your mentoring? Like do you have any openings for that? How does that go?
Yeah. You can follow me on my Facebook page is The Ad Scientist. It's just facebook.com/the ad scientist. Like I said, it's this personal brand that I started building, and pretty much, I've spent a lot of time behind the scenes as a media buyer, and running these campaigns for clients. And starting the beginning of this year, it's just my way of starting to step out and say, okay, I'm coming out
for you to be,
behind the curtain, and trying to add value back to the community, and understanding that, we have a lot of clients that, when somebody comes to us, they're pretty much, in that 106 figures, a month mark. And they're wanting to take it, to the next level. But there are a lot of businesses and clients out there that, are at that 40, 50 mark or even below. And they're trying to figure out, like, they know that they need somebody who can do what I do, but there's that gap in that level of service, and so this is my way of being able to step out and say, okay, let me add value to that, so that some of these businesses can get to that level, to where they can then turn around and focus on their business and find, a media buying expert, or, marketing, experts, or things like that can really then explode their business, and they can focus on the things they need. But it's just, there's a big disconnect in the market, I believe, of just providing value in there. Everybody just wants to be like, yeah, sure, I can get you those results, write a big old check, and so while that's good and fine and everything, and everybody loves big checks, I really want to be able to add value and help some of those business owners and businesses who just aren't quite there yet, get what they need to put them in that position, to where they can say, okay, now I'm really ready to go all in and get this done.
Yeah, that's a really great map out, and I really love it. Like, you're genuinely helping the person to get to that level, and then you're helping them to get that 100K level, and then you're helping them to take that next step of leap, right? That's really interesting. So everyone who is watching, to reach out to the ad scientist, Dusty, just go and check out his page, facebook.com/the ad scientist, and you can easily reach out to him. And if you have any more questions, guys, please make sure to comment, or else we can conclude the session. And yeah, like Dusty, like, what's your last words before we conclude the whole session?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I just grateful to be here and that you took the time to do this, man. It's awesome. I appreciate you having me on the show, and yeah, I think anybody out there,
My
man,
pleasure.
that's why I'm here. So if you got any questions, comment them below. Share this. Obviously would love to to help out in any way that I can.
Absolutely, but thank you so much. And again, thanks, Dusty, for accepting my invitation and being on the show. And thank you so much for being early as well. And thanks for this amazing opportunity. We'll be looking forward to interview again once we hit to that next level of business, or putting that another Chukama club, or being that agency and making 10 figure, like 7 figure or 8 figure mark. Let's meet again. And everyone who's watching the interview, hope you enjoyed the interview and hope Dusty provided a lot of value. Reach out to him if you need any help with Facebook ads and any suggestions, any questions, any simple questions as well. Dusty is open for them. And stay tuned for the next interview. Thanks, Dusty. Have a great day, guys.
Yeah,
Peace
man.
out.